All right, let's dive into one of the most infamous, most insane stories of financial crime you'll ever hear. We're going to break down exactly how a young guy from Queens built a fraudulent empire, became a legend of greed, and basically wrote the playbook on how to cheat Wall Street. Let's get into it.
This is the big question, right? How does a 25-year-old with literally $100 in his pocket go on to orchestrate a scheme that rips off investors for over $100 million? The answer, you'll see, isn't just about greed. No, it's about timing, it's about a broken system, and a really, really simple.
You'd think a story like this would start with some kind of genius success. But nope, like a lot of wild stories, this one begins not with a bang, but with a total, catastrophic failure. It all started with a crash.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine it's 1987. Wall Street is basically the center of the universe, and a young, hungry guy named Jordan Belfort shows up, ready to grab his slice of the pie.
So Belfort, he's just 25. He lands this dream job at a big investment bank, LF Rothschild. He's got almost no money, but he's got this huge ambition. He's learning the ropes, selling stocks. But then, on October 19th, 1987, the whole market just implodes. Black Monday. One of the worst crashes in history. The very next day, his dream is over. The firm doesn't need new salesmen, so poof, he's fired.
Now, for most of us, this would be it, a total disaster. But for Jordan Belfort, getting fired from the legitimate world of Wall Street, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, because it shoved him right into a much darker and way more profitable corner of the financial world.
He ends up finding a job selling something called penny stocks. Now, what are these? Basically, they're shares in tiny, unproven companies. Think of some startup working out of a garage. The stocks are worth pennies, they're super speculative, and this is the key part, they are almost completely unregulated. Here is the real kicker, the thing that changed everything, the commission. On Wall Street, a broker might make a 1, maybe 2% commission. But in the world of penny stocks, the commission was an absolutely insane 50%. 50. Think about that. You convince someone to buy $2,000 of some worthless stock, $1,000 of that goes straight into your pocket. This wasn't just an incentive. It was basically a license to steal.
Belfort figured out what this business really was. And fast. This wasn't investing. This was just fraud, plain and simple. He knew he wasn't selling a piece of the next big thing. He was just using lies and high-pressure sales tactics to dump garbage onto people who didn't know any better. Here's exactly how he weaponized that. He perfected a classic scam, the pump and dump. It's actually brutally simple. First, the pump. Belfort and his buddies would secretly buy up a ton of some worthless penny stock. Then they'd get on the phones and use this crazy aggressive script to convince thousands of regular people to buy it. This creates a buying frenzy, which artificially pumps up the price. Then comes the dump. Once the stock price peaked, Belfort and his inner circle would sell every single share they owned, making a massive profit. The market gets flooded, the bubble bursts, the stock price crashes to zero, and all his clients are left holding completely worthless stock.
Pretty quickly, Belfort realized, why work for someone else when I can run this scam myself? So he starts his own brokerage firm, Stratton Oakmont. And this wasn't just a company. It became the engine for his fraud, but on an industrial scale.
Stratton Oakmont's strategy was just cold and effective. They went after middle-class guys, people who they thought were suckers for a get-rich-quick promise. Belfort hired young, hungry salesmen that he literally called shameless, guys who wouldn't lose a wink of sleep over destroying someone's life savings. He built this whole cult-like culture, with him at the center, treating his brokers like his own personal army. The pitch was always the same. This garbage stock was the next Microsoft. And if a client ever wanted to sell and take their profits, the brokers were trained to stall them, bully them, do anything to keep them from selling until it was too late.
And get this, they weren't even hiding it. This was their internal motto, spoken in Persian, Bala bevar o befrush. It literally translates to pump and dump. That was their entire business model, right there, out in the open.
Damage was just staggering. This wasn't just a few bucks here and there. People lost everything. One guy, Tom Picorni, lost $800,000. And that's just one story. There were tens of thousands of victims.
For years, Belfort and his crew operated like they were untouchable. The wild parties, the lavish lifestyle, it became Wall Street legend. But you can't run a scam that big, that loud, forever. Eventually, the law started sniffing around.
The SEC actually investigated Stratton Oakmont for 4 years, but struggled to get the solid proof they needed. They did eventually manage to shut the firm down by revoking its license, but that's when the FBI took over. An agent named Gregory Coleman started piecing it all together, but the real breakthrough was a total stroke of luck. A Swiss banker who helped Belfort hide all his illegal money got arrested on a completely unrelated charge. Facing years in prison, the banker cut a deal. He'd expose Belfort's entire money laundering operation.
And this part is crucial. It wasn't the stock scam that finally brought him down. The FBI had him dead to rights on money laundering, the crime of hiding illegal profits. And that was a way more serious charge with a much, much heavier sentence.
So, Belfort gets arrested, his empire collapses. End of story, right? Not even close. What happened next is honestly the most controversial part of this whole saga.
Just look at this. On one side, you have a crime that wiped out over $100 million from regular people. On the other, the punishment. Facing more than 20 years in a federal prison, Belfort did what he always did. He looked for an angle. He flipped. He became the government informant, wearing a wire on his old friends, testifying against his own guys. And for that cooperation, his sentence was slashed from decades to just 4 years. He ended up serving only 22 months in a comfy, minimum security prison.
Now, as part of his sentence, he was ordered to pay back his victims 50% of his future income. For years, that was set at a minimum of just $10,000 a month. Let's do some quick math here. At that rate, to pay back over $100 million, it would take him more than 800 years. 8 centuries. It's just a joke.
This brings us to today, which is where the story gets really wild. After prison, Belfort didn't hide. He rebranded. He wrote a best-selling book, The Wolf of Wall Street, which, became a massive Hollywood movie. Now he's a motivational speaker. And just look at this chart. The difference is stunning. He could earn up to $200,000 for a single speech, or over $50,000 for just one interview. He was making more in a single hour than he was ordered to pay back to his victims in an entire year.
That leaves us with the big question about his legacy. Is Jordan Belfort a cautionary tale about greed, a symbol of a broken justice system, or has he actually changed? Is he a motivational guru who uses his failures to teach lessons about sales and ambition? I mean, it's a debate that's still going on, and the answer probably depends on whether you were in the audience for his speech or on the other end of one of his phone calls.
If you enjoyed this journey through time, please smash the like button and subscribe for more.